Thank you. Now we go to local board input, and we've had one request, and it's also on the City Centre Master Plan from the chair of the Waitemata Local Board, and that's Richard Northey. Welcome, Richard.
Tis now, I think. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and members. The Waitemata Local Board strongly in support of the City Centre Master Plan and the overall direction that it follows. We made a formal submission to this committee on 27 November 2018 by then Chair Pippa Coombe, and some key points were our strong support that reiterated and developed points in our own plans, our accessibility action plan. So that ties in with outcome 2. Our commitment to creating a child-friendly city, and therefore we strongly support outcome 3. We even preferred the old name of inclusive, engaging and child-friendly city centre. Our commitment also to an age-friendly city is strong with us. And our low-carbon plan, which we're further developing through our long-term plan at the moment. So that's strongly in support of outcome 9 of a sustainable city centre. The board places huge importance on access for everyone. We believe that for all modes of transport into the city centre, it will provide better access, but we're not keen on access through the city centre, and that's what we see as the big shift that's needed to improve the city centre economy and combat climate change and heating, reduce air pollution, which is a huge problem, particularly in the lower part of the city, and lead to better outcomes. We're particularly keen on trials, temporary trials to see what works, like that in High Street at the moment. There are others happening. We're very keen on these being done as low cost, see if it works, be flexible. That sort of tactical urbanism is something that we strongly support. And we have an area with the highest level of crashes resulting in death or serious injury, and we're really very strongly supportive of Vision Zero to change that. We're pleased that greater emphasis has been given to the eastern part of our board area. That's really, really important, and you'll see from our resolutions our support for the development of the Grafton Gully Boulevard, noting it should be done in a way that minimises the negative consequences for Parnell businesses, particularly about interim parking provision. There's a lot of enthusiasm for the St George's Bay Road streetscape, which we hope to develop in association with Auckland Transport and others. That's a place of real life coming to life that's really important. And one thing we think the matter is weak on is the early provision of a school or schools in the city centre. They are mentioned, they talk about looking at the potential for that. We have the situation that we have 1,000 children leaving the city, that live in the city centre, having to leave the city centre every day for school, which is a hazard for them. It is the highest injury area. It is, because of that, a lot of them leave by car during rush hour. So it's actually important. But even more important, perhaps, is the importance of having a school in the city centre to build a sense of community and community cohesion in an area which has been really hard because of the new people who are coming in. More than half of them are of Asian origin. That would help a great deal. We've got the Ellen Melville Centre, which we thank the past council for enabling. Central Library is an important centre, but a school urgently required, both for education purposes, for safety purposes, and to build a community. We were very concerned about the continuing homelessness that has occurred, and we hope that more actions taken to indeed make it rare, brief and non-recurring. We endorse the provision of public amenities, toilets, showers, water fountains, changing rooms and lockers. This is not just for homeless people, it's for people who work here at night. It's for visitors. Make it a congenial place. Safe and accessible pedestrian network, streets being developed as active public spaces, the opportunity to develop an area at the southern part of Wakefield Street into a substantial park. The Albert Park extension is an area where there could and should be, provided it's consistent with the legislation, play equipment for the many children who live around there. And we're also talking about the development of an urban farm either there or nearby in the city centre, which we're keen to happen. We have our board plan that we're developing, we've put Maori outcomes up number one, and that is a new point, and some of the points in the previous board plan there give an indication of our support. The visibility of Maori history is not as great as it should be, either in names or in the telling of stories in the city centre, which is a rich source of Maori heritage that could be provided. And endorse the pedestrianisation of Queen Street and of High Street, noting that when I was first elected to the Auckland City Council in 1979, I joined other councillors in actually instigating a trial pedestrianisation of Queen Street. From my point of view and from the point of view of staff, it worked, but the New Zealand Herald lampooned it because buses were still going through the area and they're making a beeping sound to warn pedestrians. So there was great lampooning, and a number of councillors were spooked by that. So it's been 41 years coming, but it's now due for it to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for that little snippet of history there. It wakes us up. Questions of the chair of the Waitemata Local Board members? No, and I think you made a point about education. George, can you, when we come to the City Centre Master Plan, can we just address that question of the school and the city centre and the wording that we have in the plan that reflects the direction that the Waitemata Local Board is seeking? I think that was quite a fundamental point.
Yep.
If we could cover that, please, George and Tim, when we get there. Questions, members? Further questions or any questions? Okay, Councillor Coombe, would you like... There is a question from Councillor Walker.
It's really just a general question. If I want to read the submissions in general around the City Centre Master Plan, where do I locate those?
Submissions?
Yes.
For the City Centre Master Plan?
Yes.
Were you at the workshop?
Yes.
Okay, that's where we covered all the submissions there.
I mean, just having a look at the actual submissions themselves, not a summary or the like.
Okay. We can deal with that at the item, and in between you can check in with George Weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hills.
Thank you, Chair Northey. I guess you're one of the local boards, or probably the only local board who has a significant population coming in and out of it every day that aren't your own residents. What are you hearing from your own residents if you can figure out how to measure who is and who isn't about the city? Is it just full steam ahead, they want more and more? I mean, there's a lot of disruption, but, you know, we kind of assume a lot of things about people, but I get the feeling that a lot of them just want us to close streets for people and just do it. It's not controversial at all. Is that kind of what you're hearing?
That's the predominant view that I'm getting by email and contact. It's disruptive at this time, but the sooner we have a place that's really accessible and really humming for people, for pedestrians in particular, but for personal mobility vehicles and everyone else. There is some concern that some of the delivery trucks and people undertaking construction are using city centre making noise outside the times that they've been improved. So that's an enforcement issue that they're concerned about, but they're less concerned about the fact that for a period it's slower to move through Victoria Street and the like at the moment.
Thank you. There being no further questions, Councillor Kern, would you like to move receipt? Thank you. Do I have a second, please? I'll second then. Thank you, Richard. And please thank your board for their very solid submission and contributions on the City Centre Master Plan refresh. Okay.